Welcome to our session on revision and exam preparation for Introduction to Aerospace Engineering, what we would call Topic 12, the topic that goes over the things you have to do. Just as a quick reminder, your examination this year is online and it is a Blackboard style test that is done all at once. So you'll have an hour and a half. You can answer the questions in any particular order. They will be presented in a specific order. It consists of multiple choice, multiple answer, and the like, as you've had before, and also some open-ended questions that are not auto-marked that you'll have to do. Please familiarize yourself with the equation editor in Blackboard because you will be using it. Okay, so for today, questions we're trying to answer. What do I need to know for the exam? I.e., which areas are you going to focus on and which things can you forget? Yeah. How does the exam work? Is there a mock paper? And there are two past online exams that are available in Blackboard on the left-hand side of the screen from 2018 and 2019. Now, these papers were sat in an invigilated manner in a computer cluster, so the rules for them are slightly different, but the question style is still substantially the same. Also, those were 2-hour papers, not 1.5-hour paper. So just take that and bear that in mind when you're planning your time and revising. You don't have to be able to do as much per se in this one. And then what are some tips on revision and how do we go about revising? Because even though this exam is open book and open notes, technically open internet, you're not allowed to collude. Some of the rules that were applicable to last year are actually the better ways to approach this paper. Because if you have to look a lot of things up, you're not going to have time to finish. Okay, so what does the exam cover? The exam covers all the lectures. Don't try and second guess which lectures and which topics and which of that is going to be on it and which one's going to be excluded, because you never know. I always like coming up with some fun and interesting questions. We will only cover those activities and things that were in the midterm quiz in this one if there is overlap and addition. And the same with the other two assessments. So the glider activity definitely overlaps. Don't worry about the systems activity. Again, the primary material is that which is in the lecture videos, that which we discussed in the sessions afterwards, and of course the lecture notes. Anything in Anderson or other additional material is there to help you learn and understand. So you don't have to worry about have you read Anderson or the like. Again, if it was on the midterm quiz, it's going to be used either in combination with newer stuff or just might be excluded if you've already done it. Okay, so topics. Again, what is aerospace engineering? Now that we've had a full view of the topics in introduction, I can ask you those full questions. How do we differentiate between aeronautics and astronautics in both specifics and the general sense, and the definition of engineering? We'll talk about history. We're going to come back to that, and you need to place that history now in the context of those material that you learned in the second part of the semester and in general, and then the artifacts and people of import, because we've done that over both the whole semester, and last topic was a good example of those later. And then finally, the flight environment. The atmosphere and exosphere, their layers and meanings, but really how they relate to the flight mechanics, the orbital mechanics, propulsion systems, launch and reentry and the like. It's bringing all of that together. And that's the big thing. So when we talk about the other topics, it's bringing those together. So we have spacecraft anatomy. Again, linking it to the later topics is really useful because we've just tested the basics. Key systems and components, commonalities between different types, low, high altitude flight, and onwards. So you can look at these at your leisure. They're in the notes. They're available online. But it is all the topics. So we have topic 3, airfoils, wings, and lifting things. One of the things to remember is for those things that you've done or not done before, we'll test you on the basic, the simple stuff. But for the things you've already covered and the things you've not done before, we're going to test you on that higher level knowledge, bringing stuff together. And that's how you differentiate between a reasonable or good mark and a really good or excellent mark on the final exam. Most of you are doing quite well based on the fact that it's a 50% exam, 50% coursework unit. So you've got some way to play with. Have fun with this. It's not meant to kill you. It is a tough exam. It's interesting. I like it. Some people may call it evil, but it's not meant to kill you. Okay. This was a joke for the past, so don't worry about that. Okay, the exam is actually 1.5 hours. Again, it's mixture of question types. They are all fair game. So it doesn't mean you're going to see them, but everything from um, true, false, multiple choice, ordering, matching, fill in the blank, short answer calculations like what you had on the midterm, and more expansive calculations where you show your work, and then also show that. I may say derive this, show that x from x to y, stating all of your assumptions. Those are all things. They're comprehensive, but we're going to have more material, as I said, from topic 7 onwards in week 8. And the key thing is when you look at the mock or past papers, don't rely on them for the question format or style, because some of these will change every year. Not all of them will. You'll find stuff that you're familiar with. But I said I like to switch it up. I ask nice and hard questions. Okay, so even though this is open notes, open book, here's a key thing to remember. You should create one side of A4. No matter what you have access to, it's that one side of A4 is your first reference point. You should know most of the material. You should refer to the one side of A4 for a slightly smaller set, and then very rarely refer outwards. The more you have to refer beyond the one side of A4, the less likely you are to be able to satisfactorily complete this exam. It is a hard time. Okay, what you do for the one side of A4 is you prepare it before you do anything else. So you work through your notes from the start of the semester to the end of the semester, writing and compiling and condensing your notes. And maybe you go from 50 pages to 5 to 4 to 3 or whatever. You should handwrite it because handwriting is useful in the way your brain works. Don't worry about putting your student number or submitting it. We're not taking it anymore, but we used to do that, and that's this thing. Okay, when you answer your questions, start each question and figure out what you're going to do on its own. Start with a fresh sheet of scratch paper if you need to, and write it out. There's no books. They're all online now, so you don't have to do it. But remember, what you write on scratch paper doesn't get marked. So you need to leave yourself time to put it in. And then if the answers are there and obvious in like an essay format, make sure you box them or underline and make them obvious. The easier it is for me to find your answer and the key points, the easier it is for me to mark it, the higher the mark you're going to get. Okay? So some revision tips. How do you create that one side of A4? You're going to do your best if you have a deep and rich knowledge of the material. So don't memorize your questions. Be able to think about problems and such and combine topics. So I might ask you about flight mechanics with some propulsion and what it means there. So as we change the speed or change the thrust, or if I change the velocities, I might ask you a combination of efficiency and calculating the efficiency of a rocket engine and then doing the rocket equation, those type of things. And if you have time, after you've done all the revision, try setting your own question. Use those past papers as a guide and work out your solutions, because you're going to find it's really hard to do, but you'll know a lot better the material. Again, it's about time. So a quick revision plan, the Dr. Hollingsworth revision plan. On day 1, prepare your note sheet. This shouldn't take you all day. Make sure you have plenty of time to rest, focus on some other things. Now, you have a number of exams this semester in a 2-week period. Think they're every other day, so you've got to spread this out. You're probably already doing this. Summarize your notes and lectures and work down to that one side of A4. Then take a break, as I said. On the next day, grab the first of the practice exams. Last year's is the best one, maybe. Give yourself the full 2 hours to do as much as you can. If you run out of time, stop where you ran out of time. If you can't answer a question, just skip it if you don't know what you're doing, because we're going to come back to that. Don't look at the answers. You don't even really need to know if you got them right. It's how you feel about answering them at this point. Anything that you don't know or you couldn't figure out how to do or you weren't sure, revise your note sheet at the end of that day. So if you can't do a section, revise it, work it down. Then on day 3, finish that exam. If you have to repeat it a few times, repeat it a few times. You can look at the solutions now, but make sure you do it after you've completed everything, because it's not actually seeing the solutions that matter. It's the work and trying to figure out how to go about it. You could check your answers if it's right, Yes, no, but don't look at the solutions. Try to figure out the solutions for yourself. Okay. If you have more time, you can write your own exam or do other papers. And this can go on and on and on. This is something relatively simple and straightforward. You don't really need to spend a lot of time writing your own questions. We're not revising for 6 months, but as you get to more complex material, you might find that really useful. Now, in the past, the average on this exam has been in the low 60s, and it kind of balances the coursework quizzes average, which is a little bit higher, but the average in the unit's pretty good. We'll see how this works. There is a chance for moderation, but if you guys do this right, you'll all do pretty well. And I look forward to seeing the results on your exam. Cheers.